at the end, we have Q&A session in room chat, or if you want ask, you can raise your hand. Yeah. For the next session, we will listen Indonesian national anthems. So, Mr. Sol, you may take first. Yeah, thank you for Mr. Sol. On the next session, we have opening speech, but on behalf of our rector, and now Mrs. Rati will deliver for opening speech. So, Mr. Rati, time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Navita. Yes, on behalf of our rector, I would like to deliver the opening speech. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable our speakers, Mr. Paul Mendoza, CEO at Doctocliq-Peru, Kathleen Kemp, Manager Entrepreneurship Hub from University Ottawa in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, may I first take this occasion to pay tribute to all of the audiences of this international workshop with the title, How to Develop Your Startup Through Entrepreneurial Skills, held by University of Science and Technology Komputer, or STEKOM University, in collaboration with Doctocliq-Peru and University of Ottawa in Canada. It is a great pleasure and an honor for me to deliver this welcome remark at the opening of this international workshop. May I first take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation, as well as extend a cordial welcome to all of the audiences, in particular, all the speakers of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic of this workshop is about how to develop startup through entrepreneurial skills. So, what startup is? I'm sure that all of the audience here familiar with the word startup. Startups are new business formed by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or service and bring it to the market. Startups are typically launched on little capital and shoestring budget. As remote work became the norm during the COVID-19 pandemic, startups became more prevalent than ever. A new business and startup applications have been filled at unprecedented rates since 2020. As home business and other startups continue to emerge, it's important to learn what startups entail, how they work, and how to develop it. These topics will be discussed in this workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, starting a startup is easy. Anyone can start building a digital startup. However, the difficult thing is to keep the startup growing. How to develop the startup become unicorn, even decacorn, is important. You could say growing is the key for a business to survive and continue to exist. However, developing a startup has challenges that are slightly different from most business. A number of startups in Indonesia have exceeded the number of unicorns, and some can even be said to be decacorns. These startups include Gojek, Tokopedia, OVO, Bukalapak, Traveloka, and Shopee, etc. So, you can develop your startup through entrepreneurial skill. For entrepreneurial skill, there are at least 7 skills that you can apply to develop your business. Skills in adapting, analytical skills, communication skills, financial management skills, leading skills, marketing skills, and also strategic planning skills. For more details, you can follow this workshop till the end of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, from the information above, we can conclude that the most important in business is not about how to start your business, but how to maintain and develop your business, become bigger, and have a big or even huge customer on your business. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope through this workshop we can get more information about how to develop your startup. To conclude, I would like to extend my appreciation to the International Affairs Organization of STEKOM University for making this international workshop. And finally, I wish you to enjoy the workshop for 2 days until tomorrow. Let's pray that all our efforts remain in the blessing of God Almighty. Amen. Thank you very much. Ms. Novitai, please.
Yeah, thank you for Mrs. Rati. And then, sorry. Yeah, and the next session is speaker by Mr. Paul Mendoza. Yeah, Mr. Paul, are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready.
Yeah, maybe you can first for presentation.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay. Okay. So the topic for today is how to build a startup. My name is Paul Mendoza. I am CEO of Doctocliq. Doctocliq is a management software for doctors. I will tell you about that later. So I would like to start this conversation talking about me, who I am. Well, I want you to know me better. I want you to know why I am here. And that's because, first of all, I am a solo traveler. As you may see there, that photo was taken in Thailand, I think 5 years ago. I love traveling. I think I visited more than 22 countries. I love languages. I speak Spanish because it's my mother language. I speak English a bit. I speak French, speak German because I live in Germany 1 year. I have a bachelor degree in telecommunication engineering in Peru, and I did a master of science in information technology in France, in École. And after my master degree, I worked 3 years, 4 years, yes, in France. And suddenly I decided that I wanted to discover the startup world. I want to be an entrepreneur, and that dream or decision started 5 years ago. Yes, more or less 5 or 4 years ago. So what I did, I quit my job, I quit France, I came back to Peru because it was easier to build a business in Peru rather in Europe or France. And is that when Doctocliq starts? Okay, I hope you appreciate my introduction. So let's start talking about startups. Sorry, guys, here is not team, is startup. So why products in the United States take decades to reach 60% of the households? Products like TV, refrigerators, radio, decades. It's probably because these are traditional companies and not startups. A startup cannot wait decades to become a successful company. That's the huge difference. A startup is a business that must grow very fast. So a startup is a venture that is initiated by its founders around an idea or a problem with a potential and for a significant business opportunity and impact. That's the common definition. If you Google startup, of course, you will find thousands of definitions. That's the definition that I appreciate the most. But also for me, a startup means solve a problem for a strong demand. It's not just solve a problem for a small population or small group of people. Challenge the status quo. Most of the startups challenge the status quo. Great examples of this are Facebook, Uber, I don't know, Netflix, the big companies that broke the status quo. A startup means also fast growth. It's, as I showed in the previous slide, we cannot wait 20, 30 years to become a big company. Most of the startups becomes big companies in 5, 10 years maximum. And startups means also high risk. I think two of three startups fail in the beginning of the process. So it's not it's an exciting world where you need to know basic things before you go ahead. So that's why I want to start talking about MVP. I am sure most of you have heard about the minimum viable product. How can I know if my idea is gonna be successful? How can I know that my hypothesis will be successful? For that, I need to be sure that what I want to solve, it's a real problem. If it's not a real problem, I will not build a real product. Okay, so first of all, we have to identify our target. For example, Facebook at the beginning, they wanted to build a social network only for universities, for the students. That was the initial hypothesis. But you know, Facebook nowadays is used by most of the population of the world. So that's what I mean with that. For example, for Doctocliq, for us, our target was like private doctors that they have their own practice. And every startup has their own target at the beginning. Once you have defined it, who have the problem that you think that exists, you have to make a survey, call these people, talk to them and ask them how big is this problem, how big is that pain, and how would they like that a solution can help them. So try to create a brainstorm of ideas of all of these conversations, and then you can build like a first version of your solution. In this case, we are going to talk about technology. So in that case, all of this information, all of this data that we gathered will help us to build a prototype. It means an app or maybe a software. So once you have built this prototype, what you have to do is to go back to the people that you talked in the second step and say, hey, I already have a product that will solve your problem. Please test it. And you have to follow all this process with them. You can call them every day to sit down next to him and ask him, hey, this is my product. What do you think? What's your opinion? What's your feedback? And all this rich information will help you decide if did it work, your hypothesis was real, the problem that you said that was a problem was really a problem. The results that you got with this experiment is aligned with a hypothesis that you had, or maybe you discovered another problem. And what can you improve with this in this process? You can come back for sure, and you can change the target, and you can do another test. Maybe you can get another results. Doesn't mean that you have to follow just one way in this process. You can do it 2-3 times till you get the real problem and you are sure about that. Here I want to share my experience that I had with Doctocliq. At the very beginning, me and my best friend wanted to build like HaloDoc. I'm sure most of you know that HaloDoc is a platform where you go to look for a doctor and nearby and you make an appointment. We wanted to do that. So we want to build a HaloDoc in Peru. And I met 100, well, not 100, but maybe many doctors. I talked to them. I did a prototype and it didn't work. It didn't work. The results were not aligned with what I supposed to as a problem. So, but what I realized in this process is that the doctors had another problem in the doctor office, and the problem was the management process. They needed a tool that helped them manage all the tasks that they have in the doctor office. So this is a good example because it helped me not to continue to build something that will not work, but helped me to find a new problem that I didn't realize. So that's why it's very, very important to follow this process to define what is your minimal viable product. So once I defined that, once I knew that doctor needs a software management. Of course, you know that building software is not easy like that. You need many engineers, and developers are not cheap. So what I did was just I remember I hired some 2 or 3 engineers in India, and they helped me to buy the first MVP, like the first version. And with this simple product, this minimum viable product, I got my first clients. So when someone pays you for your product, it's because you built something that is solving a problem. And that's where you want to get to reach. And that's all about MVP. So let's have an example. Let's go back 300 years ago where cars didn't exist. Let's suppose that the problem is that people need to move faster. So I did many experiments, many tests, and my conclusion was that my MVP is this skateboard. Okay, so I start selling skateboards, and then I realized that there are people that want not just skateboards, they want also bicycles. Then I continue selling my product, doing investigation, gathering data, and then I am able to build something faster that is a motorbike. And Then I build a car. This is a process how an MVP can evolve. As you might see, 4 of them solve the same problem, that it's move faster. Well, and that's an image that I want to share with you. That's an image from Eric Ries, I think, is a famous guy. But what I mean this here, with this here, propose a cycle: ideas, code, data. That means you have an idea, you create your MVP, you code with your developers, you test with your audience, with the possible users or clients, and then you get data. This data will tell you, okay, the product that you built works so because it lacks more user experience, more design, more functionalities. And then again, you code and you say, hey guys, you said that that you needed something else. Here, my product has a second version. Please use it. And you test it, you get data, and they will tell you, okay, now we need something else. And it's like that. That's more or less the concept of design thinking. It's like you have to follow a process in a cycle in order to improve your product or service. Okay, now I want to talk about team. Once you have defined what is your MVP, and of course you have gotten your first customers. Now it's time to say with whom you will work, because this is a good, you found a good business, a good idea, and now you need to develop it. But for sure, this you will not do it alone, and you need to get a good team so this business becomes successful in the future. Well, in this case, we're talking about founders. Finding a founder is not that easy as it might appear. You need to be very careful with whom you want to work. Most of the startups fail because of problems between founders in the initial stage. For example, in my case, I had, I think, 5 founders or 5 partners during the process of Doctocliq. My best friend at the beginning, we were excited to build something new. We worked like every day, very hard, but suddenly we discovered that we didn't match like 2 guys to work together. We have different mindset, different way of working, and suddenly that broke our friendship. So it's very serious when you work with someone that you appreciate. For normally you propose your friends or some of your relatives to become your founder or co-founder, but you must be clear since the very beginning. Friendship is over all things, over problems, and I think friendship must be the priority. And I mean, you don't have to fight with your friends or families or relatives. So that's what I want to share with you, because it's my personal experience. And be very careful. And for that, I want to say also that it's important that in the founders you have someone that is not expert but is good at speaking, selling, have some kind of sales skills, because a product or a service must be sold. So you will need someone who can communicate easily or easier than you. If you are a developer, maybe if you don't feel good at speaking, probably if you don't find someone that will sell for you, you have to develop sales skills. You have no option. And the other profile that you have to have in your team is a developer. That's very recommended roles that you must prioritize in your team. And yeah, Of course, you can have someone that knows very well about marketing, maybe about hiring people, etc. But that's the minimum things that you have to consider. Okay, I was saying that in the minutes ago that it's very important that to choose the right founder or co-founder. For that, you must set up the terms and conditions with your friends or relatives or with whom you will work in this startup. It means you have to say, okay, we are 3 guys, so everyone has 33% of the company, and the conditions are that everyone will work 40 hours a week, and if a problem happens, we will solve it in that way. I mean, all these things must be written, and if possible, of course, also signed. Only with this document, things will be clear. Please don't just talk and say, don't just do an oral agreement. It must be written, because when the problem happens, you will say, hey, but you told me that. No, I didn't really mean that. I meant another thing. That's why paper is always important. And there is a nice phrase, I think, in Indonesia too. It's like, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's like, when things are clear, friendship also is clear and safe, something like that. So and if the things doesn't work as you expected, it's better to say bye-bye. You cannot keep working with someone that doesn't work as you expect, or doesn't do things like you wanted or you prefer to do. Maybe you are wrong, or maybe the other person are wrong, but what is sure is that both of you will not build something successful. So building a startup between friends or relatives, it's like a marriage. It's a business that you have to fund, feed for many years until one day it's going to be successful or become a unicorn. That's why you have to be things clear. When something doesn't work, just stop it. Even in the terms sheet, you have to say what happens if in 1 year we don't agree about something. I can keep with idea, and you can keep I don't know, some part of the math of the company. You have to define also possible solutions when a problem will happen. Okay, and third point, it's about hiring. When you're a small business, you need people that really trust and believe in you and in your company, in your business. That's why it's important that you hire someone that you really feel kind of connection. You cannot hire someone because it's cheap or knows maybe it's a geek, or that is a very good developer. You have also to try to find kind of skills that allows you to work in a good environment. So that's what I recommend you. According other famous CEOs, they say that most of their time they hire and fire because it's normal to make mistakes. But if we can avoid it since the very beginning, it's going to help us very much. And most of the people that you will hire in the very beginning will become managers in the coming years. So these people they are gonna be like the base of your startup. So that's why it's very, very important, the first people you will hire. So let's go back to the image, the previous image. Now we are going to talk about product market fit. And this image helped me to explain you better this. The skateboard became a bicycle, then a motorbike, then a car, and finally a truck. because every time you propose a solution, you get feedback, you get the data, and with that you can build better things. And until you get the product that you say, okay, this product will like everyone, and everyone will like this idea or this product, and it will be easily to sell. That's why product market fit is the degree to which a product satisfies a strong demand. Strong demand means, of course, a large segment of people. Satisfies means that I will not have more this pain with your solution. For example, Uber or a similar solution helps people to not wait a long time for a taxi or vehicle. And that's having an app that helps me to find a car or taxi in one click. It's satisfying or solving the pain that I have. And degree means, of course, how well the product meets the need that I have. And then, so how will you buy? How will you get a great product market fit? Is only listening your customers. You have to visit your customers, make video calls, phone calls, etc. But it's very important that you are always connected or in communication with your customers. Even if you are, a startup in an advanced stage, most of the founders still are in the commercial part because they want to listen to the customers, what they want, what they expect, what they don't like, and that helps to build a great product. Well, and then I want to share with you 2 examples of some product market fits that failed. I'm not sure if you know MySpace. I think you are younger than me, but I had a chance to know. That was kind of Facebook. I think maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. But why it failed? Why it disappeared? Why Facebook replaced it? It's because MySpace at the beginning was focused on musicians or bands, and didn't allow users to put the real name. I don't know why it was a bit strange in this concept, but of course Facebook appeared with a concept that everyone can use the social network that can be in this platform of social network, and of course the rest is history. Then this is the Apple like a video phone. That's really funny. They built something that nobody liked. I mean, they can like it or find it interested, but the only way that you know that something is really helpful is when someone pays for that. And of course, that product was not that case. And why some startups fails? I said first, because of the founders, when they are not connected. I mean, the startup will fail definitely and very quickly. Other reason is because the product doesn't meet the real need. As we see here, they build something that didn't solve any problem. Maybe someday someone imagined that, okay, if we build a video phone, it's gonna be nice. Everyone will like this and will buy this, but that was a hypothesis that nobody tested, and that's why it's an example of failure. And that's why also many startups fail in the world. The other reason is because they run out of the cash due to lack of sales. Okay, here we start with the next step. We have talked about MVP, we have talked about the team, we have talked about product market fit. Once you get your product market fit, it's time that you need to grow. You need to grow, and for that you need probably money. And And here we will talk about growth. You need money, and probably you need, of course, and you are in the stage that you need to talk to investors to sell your idea. But before you do that, it's better to get a good tracking of sales. So that's why I will here first, before continue, I want to share with you the key terms that you must know about startups. First of all, it's customer acquisition cost. The average, that's basically the money that the company spends to get a new customer. And this is more or less, for example, in Doctocliq is, for any company, it's the money that you spend in salespeople, marketing people, or marketing ads. All this money you divide it between the number of customers that you are getting every month, and that's the CAC. For example, let's say that my marketer earns $1,000 and the sales guy $1,000, and I spend $1,000 in Facebook ads. So my expenses are about $3,000, and every month I got 10 customers. So what's my CAC is $300. Every user, every customer costs me $300. Break even, second point. It's the moment of your company when what you earn is what you spend. So it means that you can pay the previous expenses. The day that you say that my company is generating money enough to pay my sales and marketing team, is in that moment you have reached the break even. Then we talk about churn rate. That's the percentage of customer loss. For example, let's say that in this month, August, I got the first August, I had 10 customers, and now I got 10 new customers first August, and at the end of August, I have 8 customers. So it means that 20% of my customers are lost, and that means a churn rate. How many new customers that you have continue with you, or don't continue with your product or service. Fourth is the customer life cycle. It means how often a customer buys or pays for your service or product. For example, the supermarket, you go probably every week. So for the supermarket, the customer life cycle is 1 week. If you go to the cinema once a month, the customer life cycle will be 1 month. For Netflix, you pay every month. So the customer life cycle is every month. The last point is customer lifetime value. And that's how much money is, for me, is the value of a customer in the future. That's a little bit complicated, but it means how, for example, for the SaaS company or software company, we value that in 3 or 5 years. It means if a customer pays $10 a month, maybe in 5 years, the value will be around $6,000. So it's a concept to define how much, if I spend $300 to get a new customer, how much money this customer will give me, to the company during their life. So if I spend $300, I will get $6,000 probably in 3 or 5 years. That's what that means. Okay, that's key terms, words that you must know about startup. And now I want to share some hacks that famous companies have used in the last years, and also that other companies use them also, and you can put it in practice as well. I don't know if you remember, but Dropbox offered like this kind of referral program. Refer friends and earn 500 megabytes per friend with a maximum of 16 gigabytes. So that's a good referral programs. As you might know, today, like most of companies that do the same thing, but Dropbox was one of the companies that initiated with this concept. Then HubSpot, that is a CRM software that they offer you to test your website. It's like a lead magnet. You go there, you put your website, you put your email, and they help you to give information, but you are doing so, you are giving your information, of course, then they can send you promotions or sell you their software. So that's a lead magnet. Use Gmail, and in the very beginning, when they were not very famous yet, they used to send invitations, but they send you like with some limits. It means that you can invite only 50 people, and that makes you feel that you have only like a limitation, and you have to hurry up or to use it accordingly. This invitation. Uber offered people money to use them in the app. I think I saw many banks and other apps that do the same thing. And most of I think the two famous or two more used grow hacks are the freemium and your free trial. Freemium is like Spotify, Canvas, SurveyMonkey, MailChimp. You create your account, you can use it for free forever, and of course they give you like only some features, and they know that you will you will grow, and you will need more features, and at that moment you will be, of course, forced to to pay for a paid plan. That's the concept of freemium. And free trial, I think you know that. Okay, now I want to talk about investment. As you can see in the image on the right, it's investment means I give you my idea, and so in return you give me money, because I need your money for my idea, so it become successful. And one of the things that investors don't like is that you go there to ask money, but you don't really know what you will do with that money. Of course, everyone wants to grow, but you have to be precise and say, I want this to buy to hire 10 developers, to expand to other countries, to build a new mobile app, and etc. I mean, you have to be clear what are your target with this money, and that's it. And I think I will not talk more. I will not talk much about that. I want just to show this small image where we show the stages of a startup. Here we see the pre-seed and seed. Pre-seed is where when you have idea, when you build an MVP. Once you build an MVP, you get your team and you start working to build your product market fit. The product market fit is a product that everyone or most of your possible customers will like and pay for that. And then once you have got that, I mean, you are about to get into the Series A, it's because you have a successful business and you need much money. And as you can see here, you can raise millions of dollars, of course, to make your business grow. This amount of money probably are not the same that Indonesian startups can get in the early stages. I think this is more like European or maybe American startups. I say that because in Peru also we don't get that amount of money. It's normally much less, but that's an average money of the United States, I guess. Well, then you have Series A, Series B, C, D, until you can go to the public IPO. It means you are in the stock market. And yes, that's like that. And I'm sure, I don't know if someone knows this guy, is Jeff Bezos. Not all startups started like Google in the garage, working like a crazy, eating pizza every day. I mean, no. For example, Jeff Bezos, when he was in the pre-seed stage, he got from his family $300,000. So that's good. I think it's a very motivating amount of money to become an entrepreneur and to make grow a business. I think I don't know if anyone here can get that amount of money easily from friends or family. Well, that's it about investment. And finally, I would like to recommend you to follow these two, and I think the biggest incubators in the world, the most famous. They have the best startups in the world. So Doctocliq was a follow-up a program by 500 startups the last month, and I think what we have learned here. It's like the best. We had the best coaches. We had the best mentors. We learned many things about grow hacking, about SaaS business models, and many things. I strongly recommend you to follow these incubators or accelerators. And just to finish, I want to recommend you to use storytelling. Here we have two examples. Above, I describe what is Doctocliq. As you can see, I spent 4 lines to say what is Doctocliq. But in the second here below, I have a short definition with 2 lines, and it's easier to understand rather than the first text here. So what I want to get here is that I want you to understand this structure, how you can define or explain about your idea. That's a structure used by 500 startups. You have to. It's in this way you can explain any business. For example, Doctocliq, my company, offers a management software that helps doctors to solve low productivity using the formula. I mean, what we use, a platform that covers the patient journey way. That's our concept. We will not dive into it, but that's a way how we discover. Another example with Uber. Okay, that's my attempt. Uber offers vehicles to help people travel without waiting long time for taxis using an intuitive app. So if you have an startup or you will build an startup, you have to be able to explain what your business is about in one sentence. That's what I mean with storytelling. And storytelling is easy because you say something that will keep in the mind of your audience. So that's all. Storytelling, of course, has scientific synthesis. I mean, there is a foundation. There is explanations as to why this work, and we will not dive into it. So that's all. I want to finish showing a small video. I'm not sure if you will listen to this. I don't know if you can help me to say if someone can listen to this.
Okay. We haven't heard the sound, Mr. Paul.
Can you hear?
No, we cannot. We cannot hear the sound.
Okay. It's a pity.
Pak Sol bisa dibantu nggak ya Pak videonya ya Pak Sol?
I think wait. I will do something. Yes, I think now.
He's not
Can
getting
you
the
listen
best bang
to
for
it?
his buck.
Yes,
Hi, my name is
it
Fernando,
is.
founder
We
and
can hear the
CEO.
sound. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I want to show you this pitch. This is a startup that is looking for investors. Is a startup incubated by 500 startups here, and see how this guy explains his idea. He's using storytelling. Let's watch it.
This is John. He's a major home builder and he spends half his revenue in procurement. Unfortunately, for all the money he spends, he's not getting the best bang for his buck. Hi, my name is Fernando, founder and CEO of Lisify. My company solves this problem by connecting John with the best suppliers to allow him to achieve the best outcomes. Our customers love us, which is why we're growing 30% month over month, with a gross merchandise value of $148 million. Before, John could only connect by word of mouth with a few providers, limiting his ability to get the best deal for what he wanted to purchase. As a result, John and other large home builders were losing out on good deals as well as access to the best providers. This is where we come in. Lisify allows John to connect to a myriad of suppliers in order to get the best deals and the best quality. Our SaaS model allows him to use the product at any time or place from the comfort of his laptop. This reduces direct construction costs by up to 7%, which doubles margins. This is why we're winning major clients, including Bolívar, Colpatria, and Capital, who are the top 3 construction companies in Colombia. To achieve our success and keep growing, our team is uniquely qualified. I have degrees in mathematics and industrial engineering, as well as an MBA from Columbia University, along with 14 years of experience in construction. Daniela also has a degree in industrial engineering and has 4 years of experience in e-commerce. And Elsa has a master in construction procurement and more than 12 years of experience in the field. In summary, we are winning major clients, leading to many transactions and growing 30% month over month. Let's build together.
Okay, I hope you could got the idea, but you know that guy was using John as the main character, and the story goes around him. So I recommend to use that for your future's presentation. So that's it. Thank you very much. Sorry. Yes, I finished.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Mendoza. It is a great presentation. What an information for us, for our students, to the audiences, to motivate them to create the ideas of startups and to continue like what you have taught us today. Audiences, like what Mr. Paul said before, that he is as a CEO in Doctocliq in Peru. And maybe he forgot to mention that now the Doctocliq has reached more or less 9 countries like Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Honduras, and etc. And Doctocliq is different with Halodoc, what we have here in Indonesia, yeah, as what he mentioned before. Our next, thank you very much, Mr. Paul Mendoza. And we have next is lecturer from Canada. And we hope that you will have time to join with us here in this room. And we will open the Q&A session after the lecturer from Canada, Miss Kathleen, yeah. Mbak Novita, yeah. Okay, and I will read the CV, the portfolio from Miss Kathleen Kemp. For now, she works as manager, entrepreneurship hub at University of Ottawa, and for education has completed his studies at University of Ottawa, has a Bachelor of Commerce in Management, postgraduate certificate retail management in 2018, and got her Master of Art MA in Community Development in 2020. And please, Miss Kathleen, the time is yours to deliver your material. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for having me today. I see there's quite a few people on the call, which is great. So I'm Kathleen. I'm the manager of the Entrepreneurship Hub here at the University of Ottawa, based in Canada. And I'm thrilled to be with everyone today. I'll be building on the presentation that you all just heard about starting a business. And this is a bit more of an interactive presentation, and I will be sharing some resources with the group. So hopefully you are able to participate. We'll be using Google Docs to collaborate. So in order to start off, I'm wondering if people in the audience have a business idea. And if you do, I would love to see you populate the Google Doc that I've just shared with your ideas. So you can go ahead and open that up. And you can type in here if you are someone that has a business idea, please share it in the Google Doc now so we can have lots of people editing the document all at once. Okay, so I see some people logging on. This is great. So if you've got an idea for a business, please go ahead and put your ideas here in the document. Give it a minute or two. Okay, someone's interested in a coffee shop. That's great. Okay, so while people continue to populate this document, as mentioned, I'm Kathleen. I run the University of Ottawa's Entrepreneurship Hub. So my day to day is focused on student entrepreneurs and supporting them in their entrepreneurial path. So we believe that entrepreneurship is about building skills and not just about owning a company. And so we teach students, researchers, and faculty members how to build those entrepreneurial skills so that they can go on to be successful in their career or to build a business. So I've been at the university now for 3 years. I do have a degree in commerce as well as in arts and community development. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So I currently have my own consultancy. I've run a couple of small businesses in the past, and then I've also owned a social enterprise. So I've dabbled in a lot of different areas and now work with companies of all types in my current job at the university. So what I'll do with all of you today is really focus on some practical things you can do in order to get started. The basis of this presentation is really for people that are looking at small businesses. But if you are thinking about starting an app or a technology company, a product, you can apply a lot of these principles to that as well. So that's what we will be working on today over the next little while. So I see more people populating with different types of business ideas. So we've got a thrift shop, someone's interested in doing service design. So this is great. I'm happy to see that people are interested in entrepreneurship in the room. So what I'll do is share my screen here. So what we're going to talk about first is looking at some practical steps for you to get started when you are thinking about starting a business. And so I've broken it down into 6 kind of core areas of work. And so every entrepreneur, no matter what field you are in or what industry you're going into, product or service. These are some basic steps that you can do in order to get started. And so throughout today's presentation, I'll be using my own business as an example for all of you. Over the holiday season here in Canada, one of the things that people love to eat and gift to one another are ginger cookies. And so this was something that I used to bake for friends and family as part of the holiday season. And a couple of years ago, someone suggested that I should package them and sell them. And so this past holiday season, I decided to do just that. And so what I'll do is kind of walk you through the steps that I took to get started to start up my business in a couple weeks time in the last holiday season, and hope that you can all use some of these skills when you're thinking about starting your own businesses. So the first thing was around determining the idea. And so determining the idea is always the hardest part. So I can see that some of you do have some ideas already, which is a really good starting point. So lots of different things that you can do in order to generate a business idea. Think about things that you love to do, you're passionate about, you're good at doing, and then it's about finding out if there's a market for that. So for me, I really enjoy making ginger cookies, and I wanted to share that with others. And so once I had that idea in mind, I wanted to make sure that it was actually a good idea. So I know my friends and family enjoy them, but would people actually pay money for them? Is this a product that someone is looking for outside of it being gifted to them? So getting feedback can be broken up into kind of two categories, one of which is around market research. So you're focusing here on what your customers are saying and what else is going on in the market. So what your customers are saying is when you can actually go out and speak to those people and ask questions about your business idea to get a sense from them of if they would be interested in purchasing, would they pay for it and how much, how many would they buy at a time. So you can come up with different questions that are relevant for your business idea. But when you are actually speaking to potential customers, this is called validation. Whereas when you're going to see what else is in the market, that is called market research. So you're seeing, what other businesses are around, what are they doing, and you're comparing it to your idea. So I know one of the things that someone wrote down was around coffee shops. So, if you were looking at validating the idea by speaking to people, you could say, okay, what types of food would you want in the coffee shop? How many varieties of coffee would you want? How much would you be willing to pay for coffee? And then on the reviewing the market research side of things, you could say how many coffee shops are in the area. Are there any neighborhoods or communities where there aren't any coffee shops, so that you can try and gain customers that way. So what I'm going to go back and forth between this and a Google Doc to show you kind of some of that initial work that is being done. And so you can lay out some of that initial research in a doc, and I'll actually share a template with all of you when this is done. But you can see here, I've kind of structured my customer feedback using Google Sheets. So I picked a couple of key questions that I would want to talk to people about. And then I can start to record their answers here. So when I was starting my cookie business, I wanted to know if people would pay for it. So I started asking people, would you be interested in paying for cookies? How much would you be interested in paying? And then as I was getting feedback, I could write that down and start to piece together some common trends. So there were lots of people that were saying yes. They would say that they would pay anywhere from 10 Canadian dollars to 20 Canadian dollars for a box of 12 cookies. So that was a really great baseline for me to understand what it was that people were looking for. So this is a template that you will be able to use if you are collecting customer feedback, and you can keep track of how many people that you're interviewing, because the more people you speak to, the better. The second thing that I've set up here was around looking at what else was happening in the market. So I took a look at different bakers here in the Ottawa area, and I started to see, what sorts of things that they do. So you can see here that I looked at a couple competitors. One was called Jabs Cookies. The other was called M.Si Macarons. And so were they doing the same thing as me, selling cookies? So Jabs Cookies did, but M.Si Macarons, she just sold macarons. And then I looked at what are they doing? How does their product or service compare to mine? How does their pricing compare? What does their packaging look like? So then I could have this picture of all of these different competitors or other people similar to my business so that I could make some decisions around what I would do. So, you know, I saw that Jabs Cookies as well as M.Si Macarons were both charging about $20 per box. So I knew that that was probably a pretty good price point to be at. I looked at, you know, if I placed an order, how did that work? And so now I've got a really strong analysis. So come up with things for your business that makes sense for you to analyze, and then you can take a look at different competitors to see what they are doing and how you compare. So this is on the market research side of things that you can take a look at here. So just flipping back now to my PowerPoint. The next thing that we're going to talk about is around building a budget. So budgeting is a really important part of starting a business because it helps you to see if your idea is financially viable or not. So I'm going to. Okay, so you can see here, you know, you want to start building a budget here. So, you know, you want to think about like, what does it cost in order for you to build the product or service that you are trying to sell? So how much goes into it? Is there packaging, supplies, ingredients? Like, what does that look like? Are there other costs that go into it, like computers or webs or equipment and all that sort of thing? So you can start to build your budget to say, okay, you know, based on what people are willing to pay and the price it's going to cost for me to make it, does that actually financially make sense? So this is helpful for you to understand whether or not your idea is actually viable. And I've started making a PowerPoint, or rather a budget here for all of you to see, and I'm happy to share that as well, so that you can kind of see what it starts to look like. So what I did here with this is I looked at, you know, all of the ingredients for what I was doing, and then I costed it out, how many that I could make and all those sorts of things. But if you were making other things, like let's say you had a hardware product, you could say, what are all of the components in my piece of hardware that I need? What are people willing to purchase my hardware for? And that can help you determine whether or not you can actually make money off of what it is that you are selling. So detailed budgets like this can really help make decisions, look at things like economies of scale. So the more you produce, the less things cost. So this is why this is important to do at your early stages of starting a business, so that you get a really good sense of what it is that you are doing. I'll pause there and just see if there are any questions.
Maybe Miss Kathleen, the Q&A session, maybe perhaps in the end of the session, you may continue your presentation. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great. So what we'll talk about next is really about program operations or business operations. So when you're starting a business, you're going to want to think about all of the moving parts in order for you to get your product to market. And so you'll want to think about things like, how do you get your product to the customer? Is it delivered to them? Do they pick it up from you? Is it picked up through a store? Do they order it online? So you'll want to think about that. You'll want to think about, how will you make it? Can you make it at home? Do you need a manufacturing center? What are the things that you need in order to build your product? How will you get paid? So is it cash, credit card, online payment, in-person payment? Is there specific information that you need from your customers? So do you need to know their address, or do you need to know how many people they work within their company? So lots of different considerations. So you want to start to create a bit of a profile for your customer so that you can start to answer some of these more operational questions about how you will actually get your product to market. And then you can create a map to from start to finish of when you create the product until it's delivered to your customer, to get a really strong sense of what all of the things are going to be that you need to do in order for you to deliver that value. So for my own business, I created an operations map where I started right from the beginning when I market my product through to how I deliver. And this is a really good way for you to outline for your own business idea where you need to start and where you need to finish off. So the first thing was I needed to promote my business online. I was only doing online promotions, and this is a major way that we are seeing that people market their products and services in this day and age. In Canada, especially since COVID-19 has been so prominent in our communities, all businesses have really transformed from any in-person types of selling opportunities to online selling opportunities. So selling over a website through Instagram, promoting yourself through newsletters and blogs has become much more prominent over the last year and a half. The businesses that were not online have really pivoted in order to get themselves online. So I had started my business with promotions online. So here is a list of all the things I needed to think about. So I needed to create Instagram posts with details about my product. I needed Instagram stories with more information. I created a highlight on the Instagram page in order to save all of that critical information. So you can start to see all of the things that I need to do. So I need to set up the Instagram account. I need some graphics in order to make what I'm doing visually appealing. I need a schedule for when I'm going to post. So now I'm going to start to add to my to-do list of things I need to do. So when I was deciding how I was going to set up my ordering structure, I decided everything would be through Instagram. So I would receive all of my orders through direct message on Instagram. So when I was doing that, I needed to provide a standard message back to all of my customers to figure out all of the key information I needed from them. So I needed to know things like who it was going to, when they wanted their cookies, how many they wanted, delivered or picked up. And so I had a standard message that collected all of that information. So similar to you, when you are doing your business, you'll need to think about how you're actually going to sell, and then what information do you need to collect from those people. So for the people that are purchasing from a thrift shop, which was one of the ideas noted, what types of information do you need from people that are purchasing your product? It's probably helpful that you know like their size, what they're looking for, how much they're willing to spend, because that will help inform what your process is going to look like. So I would receive an order from Instagram. They would say, Kathleen, I would like to order 2 boxes of cookies. And then I would send them a message saying, okay, can you just fill out this information so that I can process the order? So then I would get paid. And I set up payment so that everything would get transferred to me through e-transfer. And so I checked all of the regulations around accepting payment. So I looked at what was relevant in Canada. I created a separate email to track all of the e-transfers. I set up auto deposit so they would get immediately transferred into the account. So again, as you're thinking about accepting payment and what forms you're going to be using, you'll want to make sure that you've got the right processes in place. So if you're accepting credit card, are there extra fees there? Are there certain types of taxes that you need to put onto products? So you want to think about all of those things and get those lined up. So you can see now that my to-do list is getting quite long as I move through all of these different steps. Once I got paid and it came time for their delivery date, I would confirm their quantity and their ideal delivery date and location. So I had this master sheet where I was tracking things like quantity, delivery date, location, if they paid or not. And then I would have a standard message to remind everybody of what was happening. And so you'll too want some sort of tracking mechanism And depending on the type of company that you want to pursue, you can use something more sophisticated like Salesforce, or you can use a Google Sheet or Microsoft product, or whatever makes most sense for you. So you want something to keep these things in on track, so that you can see, you know, who's paid, who's not, when do I need to schedule all of my orders, so that you can have that ready to go. Next was around, I had to actually make the cookies. So I had my order, it was time to make the cookies. So I needed to solidify the recipe. So I did a lot of testing of the cookie to get the recipe just right when it came time to make it for my customers. So I solidified the recipe, I had it all down, and then I would schedule time each day in order to measure out all of my ingredients and actually bake the cookies. So similar to what you might be doing with your businesses, you'll want to make sure that you've got enough time in your day scheduled so that you are able to get everything done, whether it's you are building an app or you are doing some sort of consultancy, like in the digital marketing space. You'll want to make sure that all of that is set up so that you can actually do the work. Next was around packaging the cookies. So I had to determine what type of packaging I wanted. And I purchased all of that. I washed every tin that I put the cookies in. I would package them up, and then I would write them a thank you note. So when you actually deliver your product, what does that look like for your customer? And so you'll want to kind of think about that for yourself. So if you're delivering, let's say, a digital asset, like you are building a logo for someone, how are you sending that off to them? Is it through a proposal? What does that look like? And so you'll want to create some templates maybe of how that will look when you send that out. So I put some thought into what that was going to look like for my own company. And then I packaged the cookies, and then it was up to delivery. So I would let the person know that the cookies are ready, confirm the delivery details once more, and then remind them to post on Instagram that once they got their delivery, so that that would help promote my business. And so these are, you want to think about when you're delivering the product, how do you make sure that it's the best experience possible for your customer? And then how can you leverage that in order to get more customers involved? So whether you are selling a software and you want people to talk about that software, or you are selling a product like a cookie or a coffee, you want to make sure that you can get that buzz. So then you launch. So you tell people you're in business. So you've got your product, you've got your service, you've figured out how you're going to market it, what it costs, and now you want to tell people about it. So figure out where your customers are and let them know. So are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram, Facebook, blogs, business networks, trade shows? So figure out where your customers are and go and find them so that you can start talking about your business. So I've left some examples here of what I did. So I preset out everything. So this is, you know, if you are running something on Instagram, this is a good way to do it. I created all of my graphics for free using a program.
Sorry, Miss Kathleen, would you please slow it down a bit? Because you are
Sure.
kindly so fast. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I planned out all of my posts using a program called Canva. This is a free tool that you can all use to build logos, promotions, flyers, posters, blogs, email headings. And so I used it to create my logo and all of my posts on Instagram. I would then pre-write out all of my posts so that when I was ready to go, I could just copy and paste it and put it on my Instagram account. This is no different than if you were targeting your customers with blogs. You could have a schedule in which you wanted to publish blogs and different topics so that you could attract your customers to your company. So figure out what's the best way to get in front of them, make a schedule, make sure that you are keeping up with people so that they continue to stay interested in your company. So now it's time to get to work. So this is kind of a brief overview of how to get started. And I did want to just talk about some of what the Entrepreneurship Hub at the University of Ottawa does offer to entrepreneurs. So we support people that want to build a business and also people that want to build entrepreneurial skills. So we have a number of programs across the University of Ottawa that support people that want to build their own business. So if you want to build, a baking business or a consultancy, or you want to build an app or some type of technology, there is a program for you at the university. So anywhere from day-long boot camps to 8-month accelerator programs. So similar to how in the last presentation, they were talking about 500 startups, we've got similar types of programs here at the university for the campus community to access. Complementing some of these more formal programs are pitch competitions. So these happen throughout the year for students to pitch their business idea, get feedback from judges, and they often have the opportunity to win money through these different pitches. So lots of great ways for people to meet other entrepreneurial people, connect with the external community, get feedback on their idea, and win money. So that's all really positive. If you are interested in building your entrepreneurial skills because you don't yet know if you want to run your own business, but you feel that you could perhaps be what's called entrepreneurial. So that means that you are applying these skills within an organization. There's also lots of opportunities at the university to build those skills and then decide, whether or not you would like to go into the workforce or start your own business. So we've got both extracurricular programs, which is what's on the left-hand side of the screen. So events, free workshops, boot camps, social activities, speaker series, which is great on the extracurricular side. And then we've got lots of courses across faculties for people to participate in entrepreneurship activities. So there's courses in engineering, in arts, in science, in Telfer, and that's growing across the campus in health science, medicine. So lots of really great opportunities there. So that concludes the formal part of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions about starting your own business or being a student entrepreneur, because I was a student entrepreneur as well. So I'm happy to answer questions now.
Yeah, thank you for your information, Miss Kathleen. And we go to the next session is Q&A. Maybe any audience wanna ask question? You can raise your hand.
So basically the product from Miss Kathleen and Mr. Paul is a little bit different, yeah, for the audiences. That Miss Kathleen would say about the cookies, yeah, Miss Kathleen, yeah. Is that your personal experience, maybe, Miss Kathleen? Or just taking an example of it?
Yeah, so this business I actually did run. I did run it last year, but I have built other companies kind of based on that process as well.
Oh, fantastic! That's awesome. So, in Indonesia right now, that the youth, they are trying to making some business in food and beverage also. So I think your information will enlighten us, give them motivation to perhaps follow your steps and then growing some business in also in food and beverage. Sudah ada yang nanya belum ya Mbak Novita untuk ini pertanyaannya Q&A sessionnya?
First, we have...
Ada yang raise hand mungkin?
Atau kita bacain yang dari room chat dulu, Bu?
Boleh, boleh silakan. Oke.
Ya, to Miss Kathleen, this is question from Desi Maganda. Yeah. Observe the prevailing business practice and merge them with fresh idea to create something exclusive. But we didn't see that coming is all about using creativity and traditional practice. Please explain about technology, output learning, how to getting feedback from business. Yeah.
Sorry,
Did you
I'm
get the
having
idea,
trouble
Miss Kathleen,
hearing.
or
I'm
trouble
having a
hearing,
bit
Mbak
of
Novita?
trouble
Maybe you
hearing. Yeah.
can,
Entrepreneurship
yeah.
about technology.
Pertanyaannya siapa, Mbak Novita? Okay. I will try to read to Mrs. Kathleen. Technopreneurs observe the prevailing business practices and merge them with fresh ideas to create something and exclusive. Sorry. Hold for a second.
Okay, sorry. May I handle it?
No, I see that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will read it. I have a trouble. Hold for a second. Would you please hold? Oh, where is it? Yeah. I cannot read this one. Yeah, maybe Mbak Novita. Sorry, maybe I will try to. To Mrs. Kathleen, technopreneurs observe the prevailing business practices and merge them with fresh ideas to create something exclusive. But we didn't see that coming. It's all about using creativity and traditional practices. Please explain, is technopreneurship all about? From vocational schools in Bandung.
Technopreneurship isn't a common term, I would say, here in Canada, but I would presume that it's largely based on technology companies. So think about like apps, software, anything that's technology enabled. So if you think about like a piece of hardware that is attached to software that tells you something. Like I'm wearing a piece of hardware to track things like heart rate, which is attached to my phone. I would say that technopreneurship is likely strictly about technology-based companies and that focus there. So I would say, I think there was something too in there about having new and fresh ideas. We often see that people compete and they offer a similar product. So even in our own programs, so though today we spoke kind of largely about a product company, I work with lots of different tech companies, and oftentimes they will offer a similar product or service. And there often is room for everybody in the market. They just need to find what distinguishes them from somebody else. So as an example, I have a company in my program right now that has built a piece of hardware that goes on gym equipment. And that attaches to a piece of software to really assess if that person is getting stronger at the gym. This very same idea was in our same program a couple of years ago, did quite well, but unfortunately ended up shutting down because they were just a bit too advanced for their time. Like their product, the software that they were offering just wasn't the right time. So now, technology is really a part of our daily lives. And so people are more in tune to using technology for lots of different things. And so now this business has an opportunity to come into the market and offer their product. So you don't need to be the only tech on the market, but you certainly need to have a distinguishing factor or characteristic about your company to distinguish you from others that might be similar.
So do you think the Technopreneur will ideal for a business, maybe perhaps this time, Miss Kathleen?
Yes, I mean, I definitely think that there's lots of great success with technology companies. I would say, though, in my portfolio right now, I've got just less than half of the companies that are your traditional product companies. So I've got 2 beverage companies right now, as an example, both of which are doing really well because they found their niche in the market, like what sets them apart from everybody else. And they're really using that in order to grow. So I'm definitely seeing lots of interest in technology. There's a really thriving technology sector here in the city of Ottawa. So they're in great company here. But yes, we do serve both technology and non-technology companies.
Great answer. Untuk teacher in vocational school in Bandung, Mbak Daisy ya. Sudah terjawab oleh Miss Kathleen. Jika memang masih belum memahami isi dari jawaban mesin, bisa ditanyakan kembali di chat room. Ini akan saya bacakan. I will read the question for Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, are you there? Are you here? Dibacakan? Ya, oke. I'm waiting for Mr. Paul ready ya. Maybe dibacakan lagi untuk Miss Kathleen perhaps ya.
For Miss Kathleen, you have question from Zainal Mustafa. And the question is, how is done to ensure that the juice business expects and know the competition in the business so that we can have business endurance?
Okay, so it's about competition and ensuring you've got customers. Okay, so a big part of that is in your customer validation process. So when you have a business idea, it's important that you go out and start to talk to people who might potentially purchase your product. It doesn't matter what type of product or service that you're going to be offering, you need to be able to collect this information. Let's say that you have this, what you think is a really great idea, and you go out and speak to lots of people, but you figure out, people aren't actually interested in purchasing that from you. And so those conversations with potential customers are really important in order to determine whether or not there are people that are interested in what you're offering. So this is a really important part of these initial stages of operating a business. And there's lots of ways that you can collect feedback from your customers. So, you could run surveys. So one of the businesses that I worked with previously, it was about bicycles and whether or not people would purchase a specific type of bicycle. So we ran a survey asking people, how much would you pay for a bicycle if it was refurbished? Would you be interested in that? And that helped us gain information to inform whether or not people would purchase it. So I think that lots of people believe that if you've got a really good idea, you shouldn't tell anybody, but that's not the case. You should start to talk to people about your business idea so you can get a sense of whether or not that's actually a need for people. Because when you are building a business, you are solving a problem for someone. So the problem my phone solves for me is that I need to connect with other people, and I don't have a way to do that. So that is important. On the competition side, you need to really understand how you differentiate from your competition. So is it a certain feature on your product or a value that you add to somebody in comparison to somebody else? Is it the way that it's designed and how it looks? So that's important to understand kind of where you fit in comparison to your competition on look, on price, on there's different qualifiers that will kind of depend based on your own business idea.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Maybe any audience wanna ask question? You can raise your hand.
So in chat room, there is also continuing from a previous question, Miss Kathleen from Desi in teacher in vocational school in Bandung. She is asking whether the conclusion of her question is that there is a traditional way of modern technology to increasing the number of market, the number of production market. So in terms of comparing between the traditional way and technological, with using technology, it is do you think it is comparable or not? I mean, do you think it is comparable or not using the traditional way and technology?
So I guess it depends, like what were like comparable in what sense. I do think so. There are two ways in which a company can grow. So one is what's called linear growth. So if you think about a graph, it grows kind of straight up. So people, every month you see a little bit of an increase, but it grows in a linear fashion, which is good because it can still, help you make money for yourself, for your employees, and it's still providing value on the product. So that's good. We typically see that with product companies and non-technology companies. Where we see different types of growth that will likely lead to higher revenue long-term is what's called what we call in Canada, the hockey stick growth. So a hockey stick is shaped, it's got a slow increase, and then it shoots upward and just keeps going up really quickly. So it's exponentially growing. And so when you've got something like a software, for example, where it doesn't cost a lot to make, and you can send it out to lots of different people, then that is a much more scalable model. So you can raise more money, hire more people. And so that is also a really good type of company. So when it comes to technology companies, we do see some technology companies that kind of stick in that linear growth. So if we think about hardware products, if we think about certain types of apps where there is a finite market to it, that's when we see linear growth. And it's companies like, I'm not sure if there's Airbnb in Indonesia, but Airbnb, where you can, rent your house instead of staying in a hotel, you can stay in someone's home. So it kind of eliminates the need for hotels. That is considered a scalable model. I believe Uber used to be in Indonesia. People could just use their own cars in order to drive people around, though there's lots of issues with that model. It's considered highly scalable and would be considered that exponential or hockey stick growth. So there are pros and cons to a product company or that traditional linear growth, and a technology company that will see that exponential growth. Both you can be very successful with, but it kind of depends how you define success. And if it's, making millions or billions of dollars, then you want to be in a market that has the ability to have that exponential growth up.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe, Mr. Adi Nugroho, he is raising hand. Please, Mr. Adi Nugroho, with whom you would like to ask question?
Okay, my name is Adi. I'm came from lecture from STEKOM. I would like to ask you about what should we do when we start a business? We make our product, our identity of our product first, or jump to the market first. You say you start to make a business on cookies. Cookies, maybe we just make a cookies and sell to our customer, or we start to make a website, make our trademark, or make trademark, or make market first, make maybe application. Now, what should we do? We jump to the market first, or we start with a lot of research first? Especially for something that maybe a little bit simple, just like cookies. Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
That's a great question. So if you recall from the last presentation, there was a slide about product market fit, where at first it showed someone on a skateboard, and then eventually that evolved to being a truck. And so when you start with a skateboard, you are figuring out if people want to be transported using wheels. Do they want to get from point A to point B faster using a device such as this? And that's what's called a minimum viable product. So you are basically just testing the value of your product to see if people are interested in it. And usually you want to make sure that you can do that as inexpensive as possible. It's just to get that initial research. And so I think where founders often make a mistake is they think that they need their marketing to be perfect. They need the perfect website, the perfect social media accounts, the perfect branding. But I always recommend that you just get started. So see if you can make it, and then see if people are interested in buying it. And that could be through pre-orders or an actual purchase. But I would not recommend spending all of this time building this beautiful marketing material when you don't know if people actually want to purchase your product or service yet. So I would build them up incrementally. So, have a product name, market it under that name, and then slowly as demand for your product increases, you can build up the interest. So I wouldn't spend tons and tons of time building a website at the very beginning. There's lots of free online tools that you can use to build that initial website. It costs nothing to go on social media and build a quick account and put some posts together. So start small, and then you can build your brand and build up that marketing as things go. But I would start with that concept of an MVP, minimum viable product. What do you need in order to test the value? And then you can really start to build your marketing from there.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
No problem.
very clear. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Kathleen. And before we already have Mr. Paul get back here in our room. And before we continue to question for a question from Mr. Paul, would you like to open the camera, audiences? We are going to take a photo together. Mbak Novita, would you please take the photo? Hold for a second. Yeah, okay, let's have a picture together. Mbak Novita, please. You may count 1, 2, 3 to take the photo together. Mbak Ayu, Novita. Camera on, everybody. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you very much. And then this is a question for, let's continue question for Mr. Paul Mendoza. Are you there? Mr. Paul, hello, are you there? Hello, Mr. Paul? Okay, or maybe we skip it first and continue with the reservoir in. Oh, Mr. Paul has a trouble. He cannot unmute. Okay, Indra Kennedy. Oh, see, Mr. Paul, do you hear already? Okay, let's start with Indra Kennedy. Continue with Indra Kennedy. Indra Kennedy, you may ask your question directly, please. Yeah, Mr. Indra Kennedy. Oh, let's go back to Mr. Paul. When you are ready, Mr. Paul, with the sound, please answer. I see that you are not mute. Or anyone want to raise hand? I cannot hear your voice, Mr. Paul.
Can you listen to me?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Sorry.
we can hear you now. It's good to have you back here. Okay, we have question for you, Mr. Paul, and I will read it for you. The first one is from Rizka Safina to Mr. Paul. How do we know that my startup's idea is already exists or not? Is there any application to check kind of startups already runs? You may directly answer that question.
Sure. Yes, first of all, you can Google it. You can Google it by using some keywords, and you can find similar apps or websites that do probably the same. But that must not be that must not block to continue with your idea. There are many successful startups that when they were created, there were many similar companies. A great example is Facebook. The MySpace, High Five existed before Facebook, but it doesn't mean that you must be the first person that creates a new idea. There are always competitors, and your idea has been thought by many people in the world. The thing here is that who executes better that idea or makes a real business with that idea.
So meaning that the same idea will be no problem. Yeah, the problem is that we can access the idea to meet the customer needs or what or not. Is that what you mean, Mr. Paul?
Yes, it's not about the idea, it's about how you execute that idea, how you make it work.
Okay, thank you very much. To Rizka, if you're not satisfied with the answer, you may ask another question in the chat room. Another chance for raising hands, perhaps, to ask directly to Mr. Paul. There is someone asking question, Mbak Novita? Okay. Continue with another question.
For Mr. Paul, you have a question from Tito. This question is for startups that don't success because they don't meet customer demands. what happened to the startup? Can it be developed by other parties or will it be disappear by itself?
Okay, excuse me. Would you mind repeating, please, the question? I am in a place with a bit noise. I'm sorry for that.
For startup, then that success because they don't meet customer demands. What happened to the startups? Can
Okay, I think I got the question. You mean what happens with the startups if you don't meet the customer requirements? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a process of testing and validating your MVP, minimum viable product. If you didn't finish or you didn't validate that your idea or hypothesis was correct, it means that your idea or your hypothesis was wrong, and you have to skip and continue to test another idea or another business. It's like that. You have an idea, you test it, you prove it, and then you decide it works or not. It's simple as that. You might, I hope you, I mean, I recommend not waste much time on that. That's the point of creating an MVP, to validate if you need to continue with that business or not. That's it.
No, perhaps what Tito means is that what happens to startup that already exists, whether they just disappears or someone else will create the same idea, or even taking, I mean, the startup business that is not growth. I think that's the point of that question, Mr. Paul.
Okay, I hope I got it correctly. In our case, for example, for Doctocliq, when we decided to create our business, there were many competitors with similar ideas, but we realized that they didn't find a real problem, or they were not executing the problem as the business as it should be. And so we validated that, and we continue with that idea. And the other business, they still are in the market, but they are not startups, they are traditional business. And I don't know if the question was that, but I just wanted an example.
Okay, yeah. Tito, if you cannot understand the answer, you may chat and you may text in a chat box. And we have Abigail Azeda raising hands. Abigail Azeda or Azeda, would you like to ask question for Mr. Paul or to Miss Kathleen,
Mr. Paul,
please? Okay.
Mr. Paul. Okay. The startup businesses have so many competitors, and startup is not stand by itself, right? And that needs that need investor for founder startup. And also startup is need a good product and good product and other. So to get a unique and great idea for startup is really difficult. Can you give us tips to handle that? Maybe to make a unique startup or other, something like that.
It's a very difficult question. It's really it's not easy to find a good idea. That's why there are no startups, and most of them fail because they think that their idea is gonna solve a big problem, but probably it was not a real problem, or it was a different problem. And honestly, I don't know how to find good ideas. If I knew it, maybe I will be rich because I will have great ideas. But the only thing I can say is I think most of founders find the problem in your daily, I mean, in your environment. If I don't know, if in your day, I think it's something that comes to you, or yes, I can say only that.
Okay, thank you. But what about Mrs. Kathleen? Can you comment about my questions?
I think Mr. Paul has it right. You know, you have to look at things that are happening in in your day, and find pain points. Like, is there something that's bothering you or bothering others in which you can solve a problem? So look for problems that need to be solved. So that's my biggest advice is look for that around you. Think about what you're good at, what you're able to do, and that will help you generate that idea.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kathleen, and also Mr. Paul. Thank you, Mrs. Rati. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Rati, we can hear your voice.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Asida, for your question. For Miss Kathleen and Mr. Paul, this is my personal curiosity. See, I often hear that mothers are regretting the time that we are having pandemic right now, right? And students are at home instead of at school, and they are using their children. Yeah, children are using mobile phone a lot, like 5-6 hours a day, dealing with material tasks from teachers. And sometimes you see some kind of pop-up advertising that is not good enough to be seen for children. Sometimes mother, they just talking, I don't know, maybe it came up from their idea. They talk about, is there any possible that there is some kind of application perhaps to checking out whether their children opening the right material, finding the right material, or to do the task, even except watching things that they cannot watch for their age. Is there idea can be true for startups business, maybe for your personal opinion, Miss Paul and Mr. Paul and Miss Kathleen, please?
Well, it sounds like you have identified a problem that needs a solution. So
Yes.
if there are enough people that think that that problem exists, then I think a product can be created from it. So I think, you've identified a problem, and now it's about seeing if there's enough people that have that problem and would they pay for a solution for that. And that will determine whether or not you have a business. So maybe there are other things out there on the market, but they're not as effective or don't do the job well enough. And so it looks like you've got the start of your own good business idea there, to get an app or something going to prevent that from happening.
Okay. Mr. Paul, maybe you want to add something?
Yes, I agree. And I think probably someone has tried already to find a solution for that, and that didn't end in a good business or a big business. I am sure that the phone itself has kind of settings where the parents can control what kind of apps the children can see, or what kind of maybe notifications. I am sure there are something like that. But I am sure also that there are some apps, free apps, that allows you to do that. And apart from that, I know that there are some startups that build kind of education, how can I say, edtech. I mean, a platform where children can learn and play at the same time, because children go to the phone because they want to play something most of the time. But there are some, I know, I forgot the name in Latin America, and a startup that makes children play in the phone, but using only one app. So children feels like they are playing, but they are also learning something. So I find that a good idea. Maybe that person found that problem that you mentioned, and he found another solution that allows his business get more money.
Okay, got that. Thank you very much, Miss Kathleen and Mr. Paul. Maybe Mbak Novita, would you like? Is there any question in the chat or in the raise hand? Okay. Okay, that we see that we have no more question, and I will try to make some resume over this today, after today's material from Mr. Paul and Miss Kathleen, that we are talking about startup business and how to including the tips and challenges to make it grow better and better in the future. I will personally thank you to Mr. Paul and Miss Kathleen for having this event with us to deliver the material for our students and the audiences here. We hope that we're going to meet for another event in the future. I will give the time back to the Master of Ceremony, Miss Novita. You may take charge. Thank you very much.
Finally, we come to the end of the webinar. So unfortunately, we already way of the time until 10 a.m. So sadly. And we would like to say thanks again for our speaker for their information will be beneficial audience.
Don't forget about tomorrow. We have still one day left. Okay, thank you. Miss Novita is having a trouble with the connection. Thank you very much for today's event. We remind you for the audiences that we have another day tomorrow, Saturday, for another speakers from lecturer from STEKOM. It is Mr. Ahmad Zaenuri, Mr. Edwin, and Mr. Zainal. We also going to talk about the startup, but from the entrepreneurial skill. So it is from the skill to build it. So don't miss the event tomorrow. We will begin at 8 o'clock as what we have today. And don't forget to make it at your schedule. Thank you very much for today's. We apologize for the mistake that we made. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Miss
Mr.
Kathleen.
Paul.
Thank
Goodbye.
you,
Thank you.
Mr. Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul and Mrs. Kathleen.
Thank you.
We have not much time to take a picture together, yeah, Mr. Paul and Miss Kathleen. Would you please turn up your camera to take photo together, and everyone else, maybe? No. Okay. Okay. Would like to take photo again, Mbak Novita, maybe? Miss Kathleen? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget tomorrow, yeah, 8 o'clock with the lecturer from Indonesia. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you.
See you. Bye.